If you believe Donald Trump is telling you the truth about the war with Iran, you may not like what I am about to say. You see, Donald Trump told you the war was over. He flew to Paris. He signed a deal. He called it a masterpiece. That was 26 days ago. As of this week, Iran hit Prince Hassan Air Base in Jordan, the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet headquarters in Bahrain, Ali al-Salem Air Base in Kuwait, and, just for good measure, U.S. surface-to-surface missile installations across the region. And impacts were reported near Al Hadid, our largest air base in the Middle East. That's in Qatar. Iran just struck 5 of our bases simultaneously. And Sunday morning, the President of the United States called into NBC's Meet the Press and said this: "It's open. We bombed the hell out of them last night." He was talking about the Strait of Hormuz. Here's what U.S. Central Command, his own military, said that same day. Traffic is transiting the strait at reduced levels. Not reopened, reduced. And here's what Iran's IRGC said. The Strait of Hormuz is closed until further notice and until the end of U.S. interference in the region. 3 statements, 3 realities. Only one of them is the President of the United States. Welcome to Clear Signal. I'm David Thompson. Today we're going to follow the evidence, all of it. And I want to show you something you've never seen before. A president caught lying in real time on camera, with his own military contradicting him that same morning. Okay, let me walk you backwards, because to understand where we are today, you have to understand what they told us last month. There's so many lies, it's hard to keep track of them. June 17, 2026. Trump stands at the Palace of Versailles and signs a Memorandum of Understanding with Iran. The MOU, a 60-day ceasefire, not a peace treaty, not a nuclear deal, a temporary agreement to stop shooting long enough to talk. And here's what Trump told us. Reason 1, why he signed the MOU. In his words, at the G7 in Evian, France. The one president I did not want to be was the late, great Herbert Hoover. He didn't want to be Herbert Hoover. That's why he signed the deal. That's what he said. Reason number 2. We'll run out of reserves in about 4 weeks. You know, there are reserves all over the world, and we could really run out. 4 weeks from an oil crisis. So let's be precise about what he told you. He launched a war. He spent $60 billion. At least that's what they're trying to tell us. He lost 13 American soldiers. Again, that's what they're telling us. He drained the strategic petroleum reserves to its lowest level since 1983. And then he signed a ceasefire. Not because we won, but because we were about to run out of fuel and he didn't want to be Herbert Hoover. Now I have here the Institute for the Study of War's special report, July 13, 2026. I'll read the first line. The U.S.-Iran's ceasefire has officially ended. Now, Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Bahir Ghalibaf, the man who negotiated the MOU on Iran's side, posted this publicly on Sunday. The era of one-sided deals is over. We told you to keep your word or pay the price. Reality is knocking. The man who signed the deal on Iran's side is saying the deal is dead. And I'm here to tell you, the deal is dead. But here's where the evidence gets damning for the U.S. Because Trump didn't just say the ceasefire had collapsed. He said he had a brand new deal, a better deal, a perfect deal. His exact words on NBC Meet the Press Sunday, July 13th. They agreed to a deal yesterday. A perfect deal for us. No nuclear, no this, no that, no nothing. They gave up everything. And then after that, they left the room. And then within an hour, they launched a drone at a ship. A perfect deal. They gave up everything. Did anyone see this deal? I can tell you, no. The White House provided no details of any such agreement, no document, no joint statement, nothing, no briefing. In Iran? Iran did not refer to any talks. That's because there weren't any talks. It was all a lie made up by President Donald Trump. Now, the President of the United States announced a perfect peace deal on national television that no one else on earth has confirmed happened. Not his own State Department, not Iran, not a single allied government. just Donald Trump, on a Sunday morning call-in while his own military was striking 140 Iranian targets overnight. This is not spin, people. This is not exaggeration. This is a man standing at a podium describing a deal that does not appear to exist while bombs are still in the air. Now, in the meantime, Americans must live with the lies and deceit while their way of life is crumbling before their eyes. I want you to think about the last time you filled up your gas tank. $4 a gallon, at least. $4.50 in May. Not because of market forces, not because of some accident, because of a war that was never explained to you, launched without an Oval Office address, sold to you with fabrications, and now being covered up with your oil reserves. That's right, with your oil reserves. Now we're going to follow the evidence some more, all the way to the bottom of the tank. June 2025, the United States launches Operation Midnight Hammer against Iran. Did you ever notice these powerful names? Midnight Hammer. Now, nobody gets an Oval Office address. No Pentagon briefing for days. The Sunday shows feature Iran's foreign minister, but not Trump, not Vance, not Hegseth, not Rubio. Just bombs and silence. Then, February 28, 2026, Operation Epic Fury. Epic Fury. Full-scale war. U.S. and Israel strike Iran together. Still no address. Still no clear explanation of why. Now here's what Reuters' Ipsos poll found last month. 31% of Americans said Trump clearly explained his goals. 31%. 66% said he did not. Now I'm very concerned about that 31%. This war never reached 40% public support. It never did. And then, 4 months later, June 18th, 2026, Trump walks out of the Palace of Versailles and said he signed a deal. Now remember, he told us the real reason why he signed that deal. He didn't want to be Herbert Hoover, the Great Depression president, and because the U.S. and the rest of the world was running out of reserves in 4 weeks, he said, if we don't get oil, there will be bedlam. He just told you the United States was 4 weeks from an oil crisis. He launches a war. $60 billion plus later, 13 lives, and then he signs a deal because we were running out of oil. That's not a war strategy. That's a man who got himself trapped, and he reached for your gas reserves to buy his way out of it. But while Trump was getting trapped, he was telling you something else. Let me walk you through the timeline. June 2025, Operation Midnight Hammer. B-2 bombers hit Iranian nuclear sites. Trump stated afterward, Iran's nuclear program has been obliterated. Obliterated. That's the word he used. What did the intelligence assessments say? Degraded. Not obliterated, degraded. These are not the same word. A degraded program can be rebuilt. An obliterated program, for the most part, cannot. He lied to you about the result of the war he started. Then the claims get stranger. Iran is begging for a deal. He has dozens of deals ready to go. The Iranians are evil liars. Iran has agreed to nuclear inspections, and on and on. Iran's foreign minister responding to the nuclear inspection claim, this is just an unacceptable situation. Iran denied it, on camera directly, and Trump insisted they agreed anyway. He kept insisting it in press conferences after Iran said no. He attacked media for reporting what Iran's own government said. I want you to sit with that for a moment. Understand what I'm saying here. The President of the United States fabricated a key term of a peace agreement in public while the other side was on camera, contradicting him in real time. If there was a deal, why would they say there wasn't? I don't get it. I don't understand it. It makes no sense. Now that's not spin. That is not exaggeration. That is a man inventing his own reality. And here's the line that deserves a red circle on every printed copy in the country. The war had 40% support or lower the entire time. 66% of Americans said Trump never explained what we were doing. A Reuters Ipsos poll, not a partisan outlet, hard numbers. The American people never bought the justification because the justification kept changing. Now, if you're enjoying the content we're providing you here on Clear Signal, Show it by subscribing to this channel. Hit that like button. That helps us a lot with the algorithm. And share this video with someone who believes Trump's lies and needs to hear the truth. Now let's talk about what this costs you. The forensic math, so to speak. July 4th, 2025. Trump signs the One Big Beautiful Bill. $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. Who got the money? Mostly corporations and billionaires. The top bracket. NBC News headlines, July 1st, 2026. I'll read it word for word. The biggest ever rollback of federal programs serving the poor. Did you hear that? The biggest ever. Medicaid, SNAP, the safety net for 55-year-old Americans who got squeezed by inflation, who got squeezed by tariffs, who are already doing the retirement math on a napkin. Gone or gutted. To pay for tax cuts for people who don't need them. Believe me, they don't need them. And then, the oil. Now, this is the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, authorized in 1975 by President Gerald Ford after the 1973 oil crisis. Underground salt caverns along the Gulf Coast, Texas, Louisiana. Your emergency gas tank for the whole country. As of June 15th, 2026, 340.3 million barrels. The lowest level since 1983, down 8.1 million barrels in 1 week. In total, the administration released 172 million barrels to keep your gas prices from spiking even higher, to mask the economic damage the war was doing, while Trump was telling you that we're winning. But here's the number that should stop you cold. Cushing, Oklahoma. It's called the pipeline crossroads of the world. Every barrel of West Texas intermediate crude is priced here. Every pipeline from the Permian Basin, from back in fields, they are flowing through Cushing. As of June 5th, 2026, 21.64 million barrels. Operational minimum, 20 million barrels. Below 20 million, pipelines lose pressure. Blending operations break down. Refineries start going without. And of those 21.64 million barrels, energy analysts say only about 1 to 1.6 million are truly usable. The rest is sludge, tank bottom, sediment, and paraffin you cannot pump. We are operating on a margin of 1.6 million barrels at the most critical oil hub in the United States. Analysts warned us that oil could go to $90 a barrel, maybe more, if the MOU breaks down. And the MOU did break down. It's dead. Trump himself said the war might not be over. And if that's the case, you're looking at $5 to $5.50 per gallon of gas, maybe $6. The math doesn't care who you voted for. I want to talk to you about something uncomfortable right now, because this is the most important section of this video. I know what some of you are thinking. David, I don't trust Trump, but when the president says Iran was building nukes that could reach Los Angeles, what if he was right? He has intelligence briefings. He has the satellites. None of that is true. His own analysts have told him that. The same thing was said about North Korea, that if they got nuclear weapons, Los Angeles would be nuked. They never launched a nuke, and they probably never will. They already have them. That's proof in itself. But I hear you. That instinct is not stupid. It's human. Americans have always wanted to believe their president when it comes to war. And that is exactly what makes this so dangerous. Well, let me show you the evidence on Iran. The Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, the NPT, signed by 191 nations. Now, under the NPT, Iran has the legal right to enrich uranium for civilian purposes, X-ray machines and cancer treatments and such. Legal, right? The same treaty that the United States signed, that every declared nuclear power signed. Iran's facilities were under IAEA safeguards. That's the International Atomic Energy Agency. Unannounced inspections, monitoring, the whole architecture. Iran's foreign minister said it plainly. There is no undeclared nuclear enrichment in Iran. All of our facilities are under the safeguards and monitoring of the International Atomic Energy Agency. Under Obama, an agreement was reached with Iran called the JCPOA, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Now, this agreement limited Iran's nuclear program. But Trump withdrew from this treaty on May 18, 2018. This was stupid. He did it because it was Obama's agreement. The deal was working. It wasn't perfect, but it was working. So how about Iran's missiles? Every sovereign nation has the right to build conventional ballistic missiles for self-defense. I guess those missiles came in handy after the United States and Israel decided to illegally go to war with Iran twice. Now, we all know the United States has thousands of missiles, a lot less now, but we use them to threaten and assassinate leaders around the world. Israel has hundreds of missiles and bombs they drop on schools and hospitals, but when Iran builds them, it's an existential threat. Do you see the double standard here? But it's beyond just being a double standard. This is a way to control a country, to make it weak, so that you can take what you want from it. Look at what happened in Venezuela. Now here's where I really want to be honest with you, and I want you to hear this, because this goes much deeper than Donald Trump. This is not new. This is not a Trump invention. The United States has been painting its enemy as irredeemable evil actors for over 70 years. This is not a failure of American policy. It is the engine of American hegemony. Remember Iraq, Colin Powell at the United Nations, the vial, the satellite images, weapons of mass destruction, all fabricated, all sold with authority, all believed by Americans who trusted their government. Remember Libya? Remember Syria? The pattern is always the same. Step 1, dehumanize the target. Step 2, manufacture an imminent threat. Step 3, frame the bombing as self-defense. Step 4, dismiss the international law that proves you are the aggressor. We do that perfectly. They are lying to you all the time. But this time the lies are unraveling faster than Trump can tell them, because Trump is also running a personal financial operation through the presidency. And those two things, running an empire and running a business, they are starting to contradict each other in public. The big beautiful bill gave billionaires $4.5 trillion. Trump's donors hold energy stock that spiked every time oil prices went up. Jared Kushner's Saudi deals moved forward while the war was happening. And by the way, Donald Trump announced that he would become the guardian of the Strait of Hormuz and proposed that he would mandate a 20% toll on all cargo ships. That's 18% more than the Iranians are getting. And remember, the Strait of Hormuz was open before we started the war. Who's the idiot now? Now, just an FYI, since then, Trump scrapped that proposal. Why? Because it was ridiculous and he was being made fun of. Since the only reason the Strait was ever closed because he was the one that went to war with Iran. All this is not an accident. This is by design. Did you hear me, people? Did you hear me? This was all done by design. The traditional American empire bombs for hegemony. If you don't understand this, you're missing how things really work here. You've been brainwashed. You've been uneducated. They do this to control resources, to maintain dollar dominance, to keep the global order tilted toward Washington. Now, Trump follows this model, but with one big exception. He is always looking for a way to make a side deal, to put more change in his pocket. And the people truly paying the price? Thousands of Iranian civilians, including 126 little girls who were killed by an American missile. $4.50 a gallon of gas. 4.5 trillion shifted up the wealth ladder. Those people are you. Here's what the evidence tells us is coming. Watch the price of gas. As of today, July 14, 2026, the MOU and the ceasefire are officially dead in the water. Missiles hitting American bases that should have never been there in the first place. Iran's nuclear program is still standing. They're still making drones and missiles. The Strait of Hormuz is still technically closed again. Even now, Trump knows he's stuck in a quagmire. He's a cornered animal, and we all know how dangerous a cornered animal can be. As I've mentioned, gas prices have been kept artificially low due to Trump's draining of the strategic petroleum reserves. But those reserves are running out quickly. If the Strait of Hormuz stays closed through August, this could bring about all the ingredients needed for a perfect storm. A perfect storm that can skyrocket gasoline prices at the pump and also cause shortages across the world. This doesn't count the endless byproducts that are produced from oil. Things like fertilizers, medicines, and plastics. If the reserves run out and Cushing goes below operational minimum, you're at $5 a gallon for gas within weeks, maybe faster. Now watch the debt. It's getting worse. The big beautiful bill plus a $60 billion war equals a structural fiscal hole the Federal Reserve cannot close without raising interest rates. Higher rates, tighter credit will affect you. It'll affect your mortgage, your car payment, your business loan. Now, on Iran's part, Iran has been very specific about what they want in any agreement with the U.S. This hasn't changed. They want sanctions relief. They want their $100 billion back, $100 billion of frozen assets we have. They want control of the Strait of Hormuz, which they already have. And they want Israel to stop its war of aggression on Lebanon and fall back to their legitimate borders. Listen up, people. This is reasonable. To the winner goes the spoils. But Trump can never let this happen. It will be another strategic feat for him and his legacy. He will lie, cheat, steal, and kill to prevent that from happening. That is not transparency. That is a cover-up still in progress. Watch and listen to both sides, not just what Trump wants you to hear. Now here's my verdict. The United States launched an illegal war against a sovereign nation that had a legal right to enrich uranium and a legal right to build missiles. We got at least 13 of our soldiers killed. We spent at least $60 billion of your money. We drained the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to a 40-year low. We nearly depleted Cushing to within 1.6 million usable barrels of oil. That was our last line of defense against a crisis. Now Trump is still tweeting out threats as bombs fall, as the last drop of oil gets consumed, and as Iran destroys more of our assets. And like a 5-year-old child, Donald Trump is beating his chest and telling the world, we won. Unfortunately, this behavior is consistent among presidents, not just Donald Trump. This is what the American empire does. It declares an enemy, it bombs the enemy, then it lies about why. Finally, it paints the people defending themselves like the Iranians as terrible monsters. The only difference this time is that the math is visible. The receipts are on the table, and we can easily see through the lies. Right now, you have learned something the average flag-waving American doesn't know, and you should feel good about that. If this information matters to you, please like, subscribe, and share this video, because the people in your life who still believe we're winning, they need to see the evidence. They need to know the truth. This is what Clear Signal is here for. I'm David. Stay awake. I'll see you next time.